Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabansu, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Today, we got a very, very interesting show in store for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check out the Dreamers Pro podcast that we have pinned in the comments below. So this is a pretty interesting one. And it was something that kind of flew below the radar yesterday, or at least my radar. I didn't catch it yesterday, but I came across this news that various sources were reporting about it. I think I saw it on awfulannouncing.com. And essentially what they were doing was they were highlighting some comments that Stephen A. Smith had made on ESPN First Take yesterday. Now, if you know anything about Stephen A. Smith, he's been pretty straightforward, let me say this, about his feelings about LeBron over the last month or two, right? He's been calling LeBron James out in ways that I haven't seen him do, since maybe 2010, 2009. Back then, Stephen A. Smith used to really get on LeBron James, but ever since that period, he's kind of simmered down on him. But for the last year, he's been kind of going at LeBron, and it really happened with this whole GOAT argument. But recently, one of the things he's been getting on him for was his incessant need to control the narrative. Well, he was the one that was really going at LeBron over his podcast with JJ Redick called Mind the Game. And then, of course, now that we hear that JJ Redick most likely will get hired by the Lakers, it raises some eyebrows and some questions. And Stephen A. Smith has been one of the people out there that has been saying that, look, Darvin Ham got a raw deal. And he felt like LeBron doing this sit down with JJ Redick to talk X's and O's and strategy, didn't help Darvin Ham's chances of retaining his coaching position. And when he got fired, a lot of people came out and basically expressed their displeasure with the Lakers making that decision. And Byron Scott actually went on Undisputed, where he essentially said, look, when they were asking him who should be the next Lakers head coach, and he said, why doesn't LeBron coach the team? Because he seems to know everything. Let him coach the team. So what happened yesterday? They were on ESPN First Take discussing this. And then Stephen A. Smith brought up some information that I was unaware of, which was essentially that apparently a lot of NBA coaches that are black are actually upset with LeBron James over him doing the podcast with JJ Redick or something to that effect. So what we want to do now is we actually want to get into what Stephen A. Smith had to say so you could hear from the horse's mouth himself, right? Because he said he has people that have contacted him, black head coaches in the NBA that have contacted him over this issue. But before we even get into what Stephen A. Smith had to say on ESPN yesterday, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select two or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting two entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is we want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say yesterday on ESPN First Take. It's not very long. And then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
What I can tell you is this. Numerous coaches, black coaches, called me expressing how they took issue with that podcast taking place. And I think you know enough to know that that's true. Some of them felt very salty about that. We certainly are not blaming JJ Redick. You got your podcast. Maverick Carter approaches you about doing this idea. Who the hell would want to? I jump at the opportunity.
Wait, can I pause you on that? They were salty because he chose to do a podcast with a white guy, or because it hurt Darvin Ham?
Because it hurt Darvin Ham.
Okay.
Because it hurt Darvin Ham. So any of us would do a podcast with LeBron James. Anybody who says otherwise, that they wouldn't do a podcast with LeBron James, is lying through their damn teeth. I know I would. I know you would. I know Wendy would. I know anybody would. That would be an honor for us because he's one of the greatest who have ever played and he's a basketball savant. So we're not faulting JJ in any way for doing the podcast or for the content on the podcast with LeBron James. But at some point in time, we do have to do this, Jay. As I said to Wendy last week, we have to remember the things that we've said about LeBron James as it pertains to his brilliance, as it pertains to controlling a narrative, as it pertains to being.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say there about what some black head coaches had to say about this podcast. If I'm being 100% sincere with you, it is not something that even occurred to me. It never occurred to me. The thought never even came to me. Like, could this podcast lead to some black head coaches feeling a certain way about it? No, it really didn't. So then the question then becomes, because he said they contacted him, why would they feel a particular way about it? Well, let's look at it. What would be a particular reason, a possible reason for black head coaches to be upset with LeBron James over him doing the podcast with JJ Redick? Maybe they felt that, okay, prior to you having the show with JJ Redick, you had a new head coach in Darvin Ham, who was a rookie, started off his career with you. He had only been with the organization for 2 years. And instead of helping a black head coach get a foothold or toehold within the NBA, you do everything in your power to either get him fired or not stop him from getting fired. And maybe some black head coaches were looking at LeBron to say, bro, they're not that many of them in the NBA. So why don't you do your best to ensure that this guy retains his position as a head coach? And then if you couple that with the fact that a lot of people were upset over the Lakers firing Darvin Ham, then this could be a possibility. But nevertheless, it wasn't something that occurred to I never processed this situation. And while I was processing and thought about, well, what would black coaches think about him doing a sit down with JJ Redick? Could that be an angle? Possibly, but I don't really see it being such a big deal. The reason I say that is because although Darvin Ham only lasted 2 years, I think Frank Vogel only lasted 3 years. And Frank Vogel was white. So I don't know. I don't know. I think from the standpoint of LeBron James, I think LeBron is just looking for the person that he feels is the best person for the job, black or white. I could be wrong, but that's how I think LeBron is looking at the situation. I think if LeBron thinks JJ Redick is qualified, he will go with him. I think LeBron thought that Ty Lue was a qualified candidate, and they should have gone with him. And this is an example of a black and white head coach, in this case, candidate. But some people also got on LeBron. Well, some people like Stephen A. Smith said he could have done more to save Ty Lue's job in Cleveland. All of these, I don't know, right? It's Stephen A. Smith's story. I'm just reacting to it. And my thought on the situation is, this is something that never occurred to me, or rather, this is news to me. I had never heard this brought up before. So these are my thoughts. The question to you guys is, what do you think about Stephen A. Smith saying that there are black head coaches that are upset with LeBron James over this JJ Redick podcast? Do you think there's some truth to it? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.